Welcome to another exciting edition to Grove City Hockey Presents
Hockey in our neck of the woods, and you, sir, were a very talked about person towards the end.
I'm a fifth-year senior, kind of. Well, it's my sixth year of college. Incredible.
Hey guys, we want to say thank you to our sponsor, Cut Shield, for bringing you this episode. Make sure you check them out on the link below and use the promo code for 25% off your order. Used by all 32 NHL teams and players, Cut Shield is the premier protective player clothing designed by players for players. Their innovative cut-resistant clothing has prevented serious injury to numerous players, including over 30 NHL players. Cut Shield gives you the peace of mind to go out and play without worrying about injury. Use our promo code Grove City Hockey, all lowercase and no space, for an additional 25% off your order today. Welcome to GCH Podcast. I'm your host, Ben W. Stock, and with me is a very special guest. I've got Eddie Dada. He is a athlete who's going for his master's degree right now at the University of Montclair State. So, Eddie, welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. So I just want to say thanks for taking the time. You also play pro in all of the big tournaments. You are essentially a free agent, is what I like to say. You go wherever there's a team that needs a player, and you're like, you know what, sign me up, coach. I'm ready to play.
Yeah. I kind of bounce around tournament to tournament for a lot of the big stuff. I never really had like a set team. Mm-hmm. I started with like the Grizzlies, like in like 2019, and then from there I've just kind of jumped around every summer. Just kind of cool. wherever somebody needs me. Yeah.
So now let's start at the beginning. When was your first roller hockey memory? Where was your first ice hockey memory, or in general, what was your first ice hockey memory that kind of drew you to the sport of hockey?
So I actually started with roller. I was 10. There's like an outdoor league around here by me, and it's really just like ice hockey. It's like 5-on-5 offsides icing, but it's just played on concrete, and it was like a travel league, so every town had a team, and that was how I started playing. My neighbors really liked hockey, and they got me into it, so I started there. I started playing there, and I played like a lot of sports growing up, and I never really liked too many of them. But yeah, the first game I played for hockey, it was just like immediate. I was just like, I really love this. So that got me into just hockey in general. And then shortly after that, I started playing ice hockey, like house league, and then worked my way up. And then indoor, I started when I was 14.
Oh, that's awesome, man. So now where are you based out of exactly?
I'm up in North Jersey. I'm in like a small town called Washington Township, but my home rink is I play at ISCA in North Arlington. Okay.
And how big is that rink? Is it does it have a pretty sizable roller hockey following in that area? Just because like on the west side of Michigan where I'm at, roller hockey has practically just about died out. But on the east side in Detroit, you've got 3 rinks within 35 40 minutes of each other.
Yeah, so ISCA, like we have a pretty like big men's league. There's like 8 divisions.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Yeah, so it's like D1 all the way down through D8. So ISCA's got a pretty good following behind it, and then there's a couple rinks like I guess like kind of close. There's like one in Morristown. They got like a pretty decent men's league. The one down in this other town called Edison, about an hour away. They got a pretty good men's league going there too. And then Highline, which is in like kind of like central Jersey.
Okay.
They got a pretty good men's league down there too. So I'd say roller's got a pretty good following up here. It's a lot of good competition.
Yeah, that's awesome because and then a lot of times you don't. I mean, I don't know. Do you get a chance to see a lot of the New York guys when you're playing? Because you've got, I think Ryan Marker's out that way. Some of the guys from Rink Rat Black Ice as well.
Yeah,
Those
yeah.
guys are predominantly New York, New Jersey, and the western or eastern side of the
Mhm.
Pennsylvania, the Philly guys, I guess you could say.
Yeah, yeah. For Piha, we play against each other all the time, I would say.
Mhm.
So it's like all like the Philly guys, the Long Island guys, and then there's a couple kids from Jersey, like me, Max, Justin Favaloro. So everybody kind of plays Piha. We're all on different teams, but we all end up playing each other.
Yeah, and it's crazy. You're playing with the Pittsburgh Fusion. How are you guys doing this season?
It's been I'd say a pretty competitive season for the most part. We've had a couple weekends where like guys have been missing. Like I know I missed a weekend. A couple guys missed some other weekends, but we've hung tough in all our games. I don't think the record's the best. It might be like 6-11 or something, but we were there in a lot of the games. I think we gave a lot of teams a run for their money.
Yeah, and Paiha is essentially the only professional league outside of the tournament series that you see with State Wars, Narch, and Tours that we have here in the United States at the moment. I think AIHL they folded back
Yeah.
a couple years ago.
Mhm.
Major League Roller Hockey also folded a couple years ago. I mean, it's not like it is overseas where you have the French league, the Spanish league, the Italian leagues, and the Czech leagues. But it's nice. It's nice that there is at least one league still trying to bring a high level of hockey, roller hockey, for you guys. For the United States.
Yeah.
It's tough. Like what do you think could be done a little bit differently to get that league to expand? Because like I said, Paiha, has I think what 4 or 5 teams in the east on the East Coast, and then they have 4 or 5 teams out in the in the Colorado area.
Yeah, I think there's only like 10 teams total in pro. Yeah, so I think it's just
Yeah.
it's like the Rocky Mountain Division, I think it's called over there. So it's
Yeah.
just like all the Colorado teams, and then all of us here on the East Coast. It's tough. I feel like when I first started playing, there was definitely a lot more pro teams out on the East Coast, and then they had a whole West Coast division too, like the California teams. I don't know. I don't know if just like more guys are going overseas, and maybe that's why it's tougher to get guys playing. I think for a while too, I think a lot of people kind of dropped down to semi-pro just with the Sting and how good they are. But I think that kind of
takes a little bite out of the Sting there, right?
Yeah, but they put in those like roster cap rules or whatever, I think this season. So it kind of they're still very good. Maybe brought them down a little bit, but it'd be nice to get some more teams back into it. It makes it more fun. And this season, I'd say has been pretty competitive. At least I'd say I think we have 5 teams in our division. For the most part, it's been very competitive. Games have been very back and forth from bottom to top.
Which is good. Now, you got a chance to play with the few at Tours? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a team that's based out of New York, if I'm not mistaken, the Buffalo area, I think. Some of those guys play in the Travel Maiha League that goes from Buffalo all the way to Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard of Maiha?
Yeah, I've heard of Maiha.
Yeah.
It's one of those I've never gotten to play in it, but
oh man, if you ever get a chance to play in that T2 division, you got Corey Hodge and his Car Shield boys.
Yeah.
You've got the few and those guys they're playing. And then you got the Cincy Kings or the Cincy Roller Ducks with CJ Grow and company with those guys up there. And I mean, the competition's really really good, and it's so fast. And it's crazy. For me, I got a chance to see, hockey internationally as well, and to see some of those guys, go over, then come back and play, and then just to see the contrasting styles that the Americans have versus the Spanish teams versus the Italian teams versus the French teams. It's really cool to see, and then see those Americans adapting that style, that type of play to counteract some of the stuff that the Americans here haven't really had a chance to see yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So so tell me a little bit about your pro experience. How did you guys do with because you were with Rink Rat at Narch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd you guys do? And how did you guys feel like you guys could have done? Were you happy with your guys' performance?
At Norwich, it was tough. We didn't end up doing too well there. I thought we had a pretty decent team on paper. We just couldn't seem to put it together and get the chemistry going. But it was we had some tight games, but we couldn't put it all together. It would have been nice to have got another shot at that one, but it was definitely still a fun experience. It was good playing with all those guys like Purcell and Jansko, the Sobos, Paul Batusov was on that team too. So it was definitely a fun team to play on.
Yeah, and then you got a chance to play with the Blood and Feathers at the PAMA Pro. Tell us a little bit about playing with those guys. That's a very young team. I think this is their second year playing in the pro division. They've got Tyler Shetland, who I interviewed. He seems like a great kid. When I was watching them play at tours, his team was down, but then all of a sudden he managed to put in a really nice snipe that I was like, that's nice to see.
Yeah.
So tell us how it was playing with those guys, how you got involved with Blood and Feathers, just for that particular tournament, or if you're going to continue on, hopefully in the future. I mean, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, I actually started I played with them last year at State Wars as well. I played with them in 2022, so then I ended up playing with them again in 2023. But I just had Ken, the guy that runs it, he just reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to play with them. So I jumped on with them, and it was a fun team to play on. It was a good group of guys. They were all pretty tight for the most part. A couple of outside guys, but it was definitely a fun group to play on. The first year, especially, I think we had 2 games where we didn't do so well, but then we had 2 games where we were like, we were really competitive. We almost pulled it out. So it was, I think it was like a good like learning experience for everybody involved on that team, and it was good to get our feet wet in the pro division. This past year, 2023, we were still kind of building off that, but it was definitely a good experience with them for sure.
Yeah. So now you're playing at Montclair State University. Tell us how that season is going, because right now you currently have played 12 games. Do you guys have any more events scheduled up for this next portion before championships?
Yeah. We got one in January, actually up in Buffalo, and then we got one in February at Skate Safe, and then I think it's like the regional playoffs in March, and then nationals in April.
Yeah.
So 2 more regular season ones.
And I don't know if you're aware of this, but you have 48 goals in 12 games. That's pretty impressive.
I appreciate it.
And on top of that, but you also dishing the puck out too with 21 assists.
Yeah.
So it's not just, you're not one-sided. You're not just going, offense. You've got, hey, I'm going to chip in and help out where I can as well. You have 69 points. I don't know where you're at on as far as the leaderboards. I know it's going to be pretty close because I know Dylan Patnaud, I believe, is leading the league right now out of Henry Ford. He was an interviewee guest not too long ago as well. But tell us how you feel about playing, you going from pro and then now you're playing college hockey, which seems a little backwards, but at the same time, you're also going for your master's degree. So it's not like you're a spring chicken. You've been around a little while, and you're just trying to do what you can to help out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like you said, I'm there for my master's, so I didn't just like, I didn't just like go to school to play roller hockey, I guess. I just happened to be there, so I'm playing. And yeah, it's definitely different than the pro, especially like, I'm playing both like P high and college right now. So it is like it's kind of funny, like the contrast between them, like the I guess like the level of competition, but it's definitely still fun. I have fun playing the college roller with all those kids. I know all the kids I play with are from the same home rink I play at from Miska, so I know all of them pretty well. They're a good group to play with, and it's definitely it's a little different because I actually I got to play defense there. I'm normally a forward, but I got to play defense for college, so kind of like a different look, dishing the puck out from the back end and stuff.
It changes your outlook a little bit. When I was playing in Major League Roller Hockey, and then I would go home and do my rec league, my league, my Monday or Tuesday night game, at my local rink here before it shut down. And then going back to playing, or going to AIHL, playing in the minor, playing in the pro, just seeing those contrasting styles. You really tell where the pylons are, where the dusters are, where the benders are, and then where your skilled guys are. And you're just like, well, okay, now I just have to adapt and adjust and change how I play so that I'm not the duster, I'm not the bender, and I'm not the pylon.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely you definitely got to I guess like adapt, like when you're playing the different levels. I definitely play I'd say a lot different in PHA as opposed to college. Just how you I guess make decisions with the puck and how you kind of play defense and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us your favorite hockey memory, moment. I guess I could backtrack this question and ask it here in a few minutes. But so you played in the 3 biggest tournaments in the country. You've played college. Which avenue do you love playing the most? Or is it I'm a fan of hockey, I just got to play as much as I can?
Yeah, I'd say I've always kind of been like that. I've just always loved playing. I try and play as much as I can. That being said, though, I guess I do love the tournaments. There's just something about the tournaments that it's just such a great time. Just going out there, seeing everybody, just how competitive it is. Especially, I've been fortunate enough to be playing like junior and D1 for a while in pro, and it's always just crazy like how competitive those divisions are. Like you might be playing all year, whether it's like men's league or PHA, a couple local tournaments, but the competition out there at tours and Argent State Wars, just it's always like a different level. It's always really good.
Yeah, that was one of the things I loved too. Is like it didn't matter what division, where I was, who I was playing against, whether it be E10 or whether it be taking on, Brian Marshall, with one of the house league games, or just chilling with, my friends, from down the street that are just playing on the tennis courts. To me, it didn't matter. It was just going out there, having fun, playing with the guys, and just kind of ripping slap shots for me at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say it's always the best part about playing, getting to see everybody, getting to hang out.
Cool. And that's the greatest, to me, that's one of the great things about about roller hockey in and of itself, is that you guys can be battling it out so much with such intensity that you want to kill each other on the rink. But the minute you step off of it, it's all like water under the bridge. Let's go have a beer, unless the guy's a real dick, but if they're, a solid person outside of that, I don't care how hard we battle as long as you shake my hand afterwards.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's always like the big difference with, like playing ice and playing roller. Like after like an ice game or like an ice tournament, like you're not hanging out with like the other team after, you're really just hanging out with your team. But after like roller, you get on there, you're playing against each other, you might be killing each other in the game, but you like, especially at like Tampa, like you're done, everybody's up at the bar, at that bar up above the rink, and everybody's hanging out, drinking together. It's a really cool environment. it's a lot different than ice.
Yeah, and it was the same experience overseas for me when I was coaching in Africa. You would go to the tournaments, the business leagues, and everybody was just at the bar watching the games and hanging out. But then when it was time for game time, friendships went out the door. But then you weren't mean about it because it was a small community, 500 people.
Yeah.
But you go right back to being friends and all that stuff outside of the rink, and it was pretty cool. It's a pretty cool experience to see.
For sure.
So, but yeah, so now let's segue that to what is your favorite hockey moment from your vast experience from playing pro all the way down to Pi-Ha and there's got to be at least quite a few for you.
Yeah. Yeah, think about it.
I know I put you right on the spot, which I tend to do. I give you no prep and I just throw a hard ball at you.
All right. I definitely I'd say like the first time I got to play pro in 2019 at State Wars, that was definitely a really cool experience. Just kind of like I've been playing PHA pro and stuff like that up to that point, but just to finally be playing pro at one of the big tournaments for the first time, it was definitely a cool experience. Just getting in there and playing against all those guys. It was definitely it's almost like a system shock at first, like playing against some of them. I mean, it's just how I've been watching them and playing against some of them at like the local tournaments, like Winter Wars and stuff. But then just playing against some of these other guys, I was like, oh man, I got a long way to go here to improve.
Yeah.
But
I have to agree with you. It was very similar for me when I stepped on the floor with Etan Chavera, Mike Francis, and Pat Lee. Just to name a few, all at the same time. And I'm skating with some of the best players in the country right now, and it was amazing to be a part of that, to be able to say, you know what, I'm all right at this game.
Yeah, for sure.
So. But all right, man. So tell us a little bit about. So, was your family into hockey as well, or is it just more of a, did they encourage you, while you were growing up, or was it more of a, hey, man, there's some other sports that we want you to really play?
So neither of my parents played actually. My dad was actually really big into like taekwondo and like jiu-jitsu, that kind of stuff, but neither of them played, but they were definitely very supportive. But like growing up, my dad was always he was one of those parents that just kind of pushed me to play every sport when I was younger, just to find what I liked. Once I was like, once I told him I was like, I really like hockey, I really want to play this, he was always in my corner. He gave me every opportunity to play. I mean, I'm 20, I'm 24. He still comes to all the tournaments with me. I think he loves it just as much as I do. So
that's awesome. Now, who is your favorite player to play against? Who's your favorite player to play with? Who's that one guy or one team that you really like to play against, but you really wish you would play them in the finals?
Playing against, as good as they are and as frustrating as it can be, I really like playing like this, like around here, I guess it'd be like the Sting, like those Black Ice and Roadrunners guys. They're obviously very good, they're very difficult to beat, but it's always fun playing those guys, just because it really is, it's a big challenge. Like it takes a lot of, I guess, like a lot of like brain power playing them. Like you got to really be careful with the decisions you're making with the puck, and you got to make sure you're on your best game. So it's definitely fun playing them. And then playing with, I pretty much, for the most part, I play with the same group back home. My buddies like Aunt Otto, Zach Matesic, my brother Nicky, Tyler Fearon. So like all those guys, we kind of have our own team that we send to like all like the local stuff. So I jump around on a lot of teams, but playing with those guys is always fun because they're some of my best buddies.
Yeah, it was funny because when I was trying to do some research on you as to, okay, hey, what team are you playing on? It just threw out like 35 teams, and
Yeah,
I'm like, holy smokes! Like you just like that somebody just say, hey, we need a player, and you're like, I'm in.
yeah,
Like, or like 2 days later, we need another player for this division. I'm in.
yeah. I'm definitely one of those. Just because growing up, I used to play for the Grizzlies, and as I got older, like guys on that team got older, started going separate ways. Life happens. So I obviously still wanted to play. So it was just kind of, I didn't really have a team anymore. So I just kind of started jumping around, and whoever needed somebody, I was like, yeah, I'll play, just like that. So it definitely opened up like a lot of, I got to meet a lot of people, got to get friendly with a bunch of different people doing that. And it's always, it's always fun hanging out with the new group, I guess. But
Yeah. So, who was the first player that you got to play against that really made you just go, "Oh, wow, I'm playing against so and so"?
um, so I guess like growing up, like playing all those like Sting guys, like that definitely made me, like PJ and Billy and all that crew, for sure, made me feel like, oh man, like these guys are crazy good, and I gotta kind of adjust to play against them. But I'd say the one specific moment was at 2020 tours when I was playing pro. I was playing Palma, and there was just like this one play where like Junior Cadiz came down, and like I got caught flat footed, and he just absolutely smoked me. And that was like one moment that's just like burnt my brain. I was like, oh my God, that guy is really good.
Well, don't feel bad because from my understanding, I've only seen small clips, but he basically burns just about everybody he plays against at some point or another. So, don't feel too bad about that because I mean, Junior's one of the best in the country, so best in the world.
For sure.
Yeah. So, all right, man. Well, I think that's going to wrap up this episode. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to sit down and chat with us. And I wish you absolute best. You have the second half of your Montclair State season left. Championships are coming up in April, May, something like that.
April, yeah.
Yeah, April. And I know I'm going to be paying attention to it just because I like to keep an eye on things a little bit. And who knows? Maybe I'll get you back on just before championships or championship weekend. We'll chat for 5-10 minutes or something like that.
No, for
and
sure.
See how the season's going. And hopefully you guys are bringing home a national championship.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah. All right, bud. All right. Well, thanks again. And Eddie Dada, I'm Ben W. Stock. I cannot wait to chit chat with you in the future, man.
For sure. Love to be back on.